and they could have banned that dude. They could have given him a 3 4 year ban. So it's like you're gonna pay 10 million for a player you can't use. It's
So they
it was messed
knew
up.
he had had a drug thing, right?
I don't know. I think
Like
Pachuca knew. I don't think Chivas knew.
no,
I
obviously
think
Chivas didn't
Pachuca did
know.
know.
No, I know Chivas
Yeah.
didn't know, but there's no way Pachuca didn't know
Oh yeah,
that
they
he
knew.
failed a drug test. There's no way.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. They knew, and um, it could have been more than just failing the drug test because I think during a game. I think it was during a match.
Oh.
So I think he he sniffed a couple lines before a game. That's why he was facing a lengthy ban. And I don't know what Pachuca did. I feel, part of me feels conspiracy theory that Ame was in on it and they blocked the transfer to Chivas just to F with Chivas.
How did wait? How did you get America involved in this?
Well, not America. We say America, but Televisa.
Oh, but Televisa has
You know
nothing
what I
to
mean?
do with
TV contracts, my boy.
no, but Grupo Pachuca is not associated with Televisa, are they?
They're not, but Televisa can.
Are you saying they have that kind of power?
Televisa, well, because they have like investigative reporters, because they're
Uh,
multi. They're a conglomerate. They have like
yeah, they have a lot of
reporters for TV, radio, newspaper, magazines.
yeah.
They could just assign some dudes and be like,
They can just ruin your
"Give me
fucking life.
just just give me all the dirt on Pachuca. Do it." And they do. They have like
No, I believe you.
they're like Tony Stark. You know how Tony Stark has like no, it is Batman from Justice League where he kept files on all the members and their
Yeah.
weaknesses and whatnot in case they went rogue and you had to defeat them. And then like Superman finds out and he gives him kryptonite because he agrees even though he thought it was like fucked up. Superman agrees like yeah if I ever lose my shit I could fuck everyone up. So he gives Batman some kryptonite and he's like here dude, that's a pretty cool storyline.
All right. Let me get this going so we can talk about this. This is crazy. Hello everybody. Welcome to the Canina MX Football Podcast. Tonight we are going to be talking about who the hell is going to run this bitch? Who's going to coach the Mexican national team? Every day new rumors and there's a new player. A new player has stepped in to the spotlight. We also want to talk about Chofis Lopez having a great moment and how he got here. And that and much, much more. But joining me tonight, my good friend Joel. Joel, how we doing?
Greetings, Jaime. I'm doing good, dude. Just when you think there's not much news, more news, more news comes out, and right now I'm a bit more entertained with Chofi's comments than with Selección drama.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm catching up with everything that happened today, but as far as Chofis Lopez, we just gotta address or acknowledge the moment that he's having with Pachuca. Off to a great start. I think he has like 4 or 5 goals to his name. Um, he's already got a championship with them, and now all of a sudden, he's getting the spotlight. He's getting the interviews. And he mentioned something along the lines of how at Chivas he wasn't given the opportunity, and how he wanted another shot, and now I feel great. I'm motivated, and obviously with the rumors of his head coach potentially coaching the national team, uh, there is not a crazy possibility that he might be suiting up for the national team at one point. And we were having this discussion on our group chat, like, yo, man, like this dude has never played for the national team, never has been even considered for the national team, not even in the youth ranks, not even the
Well,
under 17, the 20s, the
I think
23s.
considered yes. He was in the preliminary list for Gold Cup.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on like preliminary lists and all that, but he's never actually gone to like even
No,
gone.
yeah, he's never he's never set foot in the field wearing the green. Uh,
And he's not a young
and
buck. You know, he's
Correction. He was called up. He just didn't make the team.
right. Yeah. Ron joining us tonight. How we doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Yeah, we were talking about how like man, this dude's like never really had a shot, and he's 28 years old. We're not talking about like a young prospect. This guy's he debuted for Chivas in 2013. It's been like 10 years, bro, and he's barely getting
you
going
know,
right now.
that's the important thing to keep in mind because he looks like a kid. He has a baby face and he has like a little kid name. You know, Trophies is like calling someone Ñoño, and sort of like he didn't outgrow that nickname. Um, which I don't know if you guys remember. Almeida tried to get him to change it,
Change what?
his nickname.
Oh, La Trophies?
He was saying, yeah, he was saying that wasn't like he was trying to like change this guy's like mentality. He even gave him the number 10. He's like,
Yeah.
you're gonna wear the number 10, and he there is an interview. You guys, if you look for it, you could find it, but it didn't work, man. It didn't work.
I've told you this from the. I mean, even when he was back with Chivas and stuff like that. Trophies is just he's that typical Mexican League club player that will do well. You know, he's a journeyman. He's never going to be a star. He's never going to be
Oh,
and part of that I think has to do, and I've mentioned it to you guys. I mean, look, I'm not saying that this guy's got to be a physical specimen, but you can tell that he doesn't take his training seriously. I mean, the guy.
oh yeah.
I mean, I mean, he's a professional, soccer player, and the guy's. I mean, still has a gut. I'm not saying I'm not saying he's like Pastor Lozano, and stuff like that, you know. But
No, you're right though.
I mean, if you're gonna be a professional soccer player, you really got to take, you really have to take care of yourself, and that's what I've always seen about him. And I mean, like I said, there's other players that are like that. That I mean, they're technically gifted, but they just don't, they don't take themselves seriously off the field. And part of that is, the diet and the nutrition and all that type of stuff. And I think that's where I think that's where he lacks.
You know that's how I knew that a lot of the problems he was having at the club had to do with his mentality.
Yeah.
Just going off of his weight, because I remember when Chivas brings in Pelaez and then Almeida, he puts in 50 big ones and they get all, they bring in a lot of players. And so if you're Trophies, right, you're thinking this is my chance that this team can again fight for the league, um, and I could be in the spotlight because better teammates, and I could make the national team, and I have a good run for World Cup or to go abroad. Because I mean, that's how I would see it. If you're with a club that's been asked, and all of a sudden they're bringing in players and coaches and improving, it would have motivated me. And so that season, he showed up to training camp overweight. And
Yeah.
I don't remember
Pinche
how many
gancito,
pounds,
way.
but I'm like, dude.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't he also have like a kid very, very young?
Probably, man. He's Mexican.
He might. He might, dude. He
Bro, I
might.
remember like Chucky Lozano
he-
winning a title, and he already had a baby, bro. I'm like, and he was married. I'm like, dude, how old are you, bro?
Shit, I mean, that could work. That could be, both ways. I mean, that could give you motivation to be serious and take your career serious, or it could be just like, hey, you're just not, you're just trying to have fun. But
Bro.
like I said, I don't think that he's going to be I don't see him. I mean, I see him probably making the national team, here and there, but I don't expect anything of him at the national team level. I think he's going to be like those type of players, like Chima Ruiz and Victor Ruiz and David Rangel and Omar.
Well, Ron,
Just,
I think
yeah.
I
Dude,
criticize him a lot, but I seem to have more faith in him. I think that getting booted from Chivas was like the best thing that could happen.
you took my hot take,
And-
bro. Damn it.
I think that was because he was in MLS.
Who has the better career, Diego Lainez or Chofis long term?
Long
Um,
term, come on. Of course, right now it's trophies, but
No,
his
no,
latest
actually, no.
career is
I
just
would say
starting.
I say Diego because he's done more on the national. I mean, he's
well, he's made the national
Yeah,
team.
he's
you
made the
could argue
national
it.
team.
I know
And I
levels
talked.
from 17, 2023. Olympics, he has the bronze. Ron, you convinced me, dude. My vote goes for
Yeah,
Linus.
It's not even about comparisons. But you did take my hot take. Like, look, this guy is over here sitting in a Gucci sweater jacket. It looks like a clown. And then he has the balls to say that they never gave me a chance at Chivas. Bullshit, bro. You were at the Chivas since 2013. I remember his debut, and I remember that one game he had against Monterrey, and everybody was hyping him up. And I'm like, dude, this guy's been around for a while, and like, and I started to look at his career. I'm like, this dude's never like been part of like the youth like Mexican national team. Like, that's a red flag, right? Like, if you're part of the proceso, like at one point the Mexican national team would have looked at you, and he's never really been looked at, and now he's having like this great moment. But it's like, dude, like don't sit down and say, oh, we gave you plenty of chances, and you decided to not take your career serious at Chivas. And the best thing that happened to you is being part of that scandal that happened with Detir Villalpando. He ends up going to San Jose and doesn't do anything over there. I was there. I was
I think
present.
he had
And
didn't he have like 13 goals in 34 games?
he did okay, but I mean, he wasn't doing some crazy stuff. And at the end, they didn't even decide to keep him. So that has a lot to say about like how they see him as a player and as a professional,
Yeah,
right?
that right there, Jaime. I always thought the same thing because I figured he could have he could have made a name for himself like in MLS if
Yeah.
he
I'm
because he
telling you,
has he
he's a journeyman at best, dude. That's all he's that's all he can hope for. And hey, honestly, I mean, think of like other journeymen like Paco Torres and like Lucho, what's his name, stuff like that. Guys that just basically had a long, club career. One,
Hector Reynoso.
yeah, yeah, another him or Joaquin Beltran, stuff like that. I mean, they didn't really play that much, have a lot of time on the national team,
I still have
but they
faith,
had.
Ron,
Faith in what? Faith in who?
in trophies. I think he could break into the national team,
But hey,
especially now with the dry spell going. If he gets a shot,
what did I say? I don't know. I don't remember if I said it last week or the week before about Pachuca. How remember there's guys
Ranchuca,
that
the
can ride
pressure.
there's guys that can ride their bike, you know, to to their training ground and not get recognized, or that because Pachuca is not a big market, so it's like I think that I guarantee if you put trophies back at Chivas
He would fail.
and the amount of media presence and pressure that that surrounds Chivas, I don't think he'd do well. I think the best trophies can do is stay play soccer in a small market where there's not a lot of pressure.
He could invite the
But
hookers to the stadium and
I
yeah,
agree. I think
he's gonna
the shine bright too much at Chivas. Every little mistake you do is magnified 10 times because you're playing for Chivas, right?
and anywhere you go, there's people that will recognize you. And now because of social media, it'll be, you know, it'll be on the newsreel by the night. Not
yeah.
even the night. I'm showing my age. It'll it's
I
this.
wonder if these younger players look up to guys like Memo Ochoa, who is playing at Salernanita right now in Serie A, who even at his age is still leading Serie A in saves. Yes, he has a shitty defense, but he's still pushing for greatness. These young players, it's like they get satisfied with the fat paycheck. Like you guys mentioned, they're rolling around with the mink coat, saying they never got a fair shot. There's a serious disconnect. It seems to be with Mexico. It's one or the other, the extreme. It's either complete hype job or like a professional, a respectable professional. But there's far and few in between of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
I, I think there are people that do admire Memo Ochoa. but I also know that there are a lot of people that shit on Memo Ochoa. Um, you know, just for personally, I admire his career. I mean, I remember meeting Memo Ochoa. Actually, I met him at the first time I ever met him was at Robertson Stadium at a training with America. At that time, he was a nobody. I mean, you still had what's his name, Adolfo Rios,
Damn.
and I know. I mean, they were doing the interliga stuff, and I remember. I mean, I had interviewed Paco Torres there. There was another Torres kid that was also a prospect. Um, but I mean, I remember that the trainer who I interviewed, he spoke well of Memo, and he also he was telling me about Paco Torres and Memo Ochoa at that time.
Isn't Ochoa's family like they have a restaurant, like they cook food?
Well, yeah, they have a tortas, like a sandwich shop,
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I personally admire his career. I think, I mean, to play at that level for as long as he has, and honestly, I mean, one of the things that always impressed me about Memo is, to debut at 17, and to be able to handle that sort of pressure
At America.
at America, and then at the national team level for as long as he has, that's respectable.
Yeah, he's been solid. He's been a solid goalkeeper. Not everybody's ambitious though. You look at like Chonkis, and it's just like, dude, like this guy has a lot of talent, but he doesn't have the discipline. And now he's like, look at me now. He's like Mike Jones. Like back then you didn't want me, now they all want me. It's like, dude, stop, bro, stop. You haven't accomplished anything yet, man. You won a title at Pachuca, good for you, bro. But like honestly, like it took you like 10 years to get your shit together. Like who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? We had this idea that it was gonna be Almada as coach, maybe Biesla, and a week goes by and all of a sudden everything changes. Now the rumors is Diego Coca, and it's like how did we get here? How did we go from Biesla to Coca, dude? I don't understand.
I could tell you. I
The
do.
smoke screen.
That's why I'm here.
Negotiating tactic, maybe.
Well, the first is it's also the media. They need to create clickbait, and Bielsa's been a name that pretty much every time you could go back maybe 20 years. Every time there's an opening, he's on the list. And no matter if FMF put him there, just the media likes to hype him up just because he's been, more so what he did at Atlas, and then going back to '06 with with the bulk of that squad being players that that came up from the whole Bielsa project, and so then that just gave it more weight, and so a lot of the media has always pumped that. They'll never give sources or anything. They'll just you know say that it was like the Pachuca one to me that Martinez, like they said, oh, lo tiene apalabrado. Apalabrado how? Like what could he even what could he even promise him? Because and we've heard about Bielsa that he will talk to the main dude, like he don't like a middleman. So it would be unlike Bielsa to go and talk to Martinez and agree to a bunch of bullshit, and then he has to meet with Irarragorri, Azcárraga, whoever, and it's a whole that it didn't make no sense to me, that whole thing, because like seriously, what can he offer him? At most he could be like, would you be interested? Be like, well, yeah, let me see what offer. But that doesn't mean shit. It just means um, so that the media used that for weeks. That was dumb. Uh, the the news now is that the meeting on the 21st, so that could be maybe a bit more valid, because now there is a committee that is in charge of that. And that was the other thing. The Pachuca guy Martinez didn't even want to be part of it.
Hmm.
So,
That
so
was very
Gary was,
that was very telling at the Picante interview when
Yeah.
they kept pressing him about Grupo Pachuca, and it's like, well, you're gonna have to ask, what's the name, John Delisio said, well, you're gonna have to ask them. You know why they didn't want to be a part of it. So I mean, after I saw that, I knew that Bielsa was off the table, and I knew that basically that the Grupo Orlegui, I mean, Grupo Pachuca and Grupo Televisa, they can tolerate each other. From what I've read, and also kind of like almost like kind of like how he confirmed it, the Grupo Orlegui people and the Grupo Pachuca people they can't even tolerate each other.
Hmm.
So that was, to me, it was very, very telling. And so I kind of knew that it was going to be. I knew that it was going to be somewhere in the. I knew that either Televisa or Orlegui were going to basically call the shot as to who the coach was going to be.
Damn.
You know.
That's not even fair, dude.
Honestly, I'm not. If it's true now that what's his name, Diego Coca, is going to be the coach, I am not thrilled about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know what he did at Atlas is commendable. Like, you know, you took this team and somehow managed to win two, like strike lightning twice. But we're not talking small potatoes here. This is the national team, and
Well,
I don't.
but the way he also the way Atlas also played, equipo chico. They played like
Exactly.
a small team. You know, and honestly, like I said, hey, it's valid. You know, it's a valid way to play, but is that really what you want in a coach that's going to coach your national team in your own World Cup in your own country? Nah. And honestly, look, I don't buy for 1 minute that Diego Coca was, and you're like, he's not like a Tuca Ferretti or a Bora or a La Volpe that, you know, although they're not they're not Mexicans by birth. They've lived in Mexico for a lot, you know, basically almost more than half of their lives now. If you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they spent now more time in Mexico, significantly more time in Mexico than their native country. But to me, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. That it's like shit. I mean, you're 86. 86 didn't have a Mexican coach. Now in 2026, you're not going to have a Mexican coach. The last you had what? This is the third coach, and you also had an interim coach. All of them foreigners.
Was Bora nationalized by then?
What's that?
Who?
Bora, because
Bora was. I'm not, like I said. I mean, I can tolerate
Mexican
that.
born. I know what you mean, but I think
But Coca is not a player that was, you know, that spent most of his time in Mexico. He isn't also a coach that spent most of his coaching career in Mexico. Yes, he has ties to the Mexican League, you know, but to me he is not a coach that was you know, born and bred in Mexico. You know that, you know, like you know, when you can, like, there's foreign coaches in Mexico that, like, their mentors are people like Ojitos Mesa, La Puente, stuff like that, you know? That, I don't know, I don't know, Coca just rubs me the wrong way in that regard, that I don't think
He's not
he
the guy.
No, I don't. And more than anything, forget the foreigner, his tactics, his style.
Yeah, he's not the guy. I don't want him for the national team. He can do his thing at Tigres. That's fine. But
And it's funny because I mean, a lot of the criticism that I see is how you know, Atlas played to win those championships, and also, like, they were even cracking jokes about, you know, him parking the bus against the what is it, the MLS All Star. Now, granted, I know it's a bullshit you know, game, but still.
yeah. And also, like, if we think about it, some of the players that attributed to the success of Atlas are not Mexican.
Furch and what is it, Quinones? What was it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're not gonna have those.
Is it Furch is nationalized, no? Isn't he? I think
Yeah, but we're not gonna fucking call him up, dude.
for the Gold Cup.
Nah, son.
Give him a Gold Cup, dude.
And now, all right, so it's already bad as it is, like, accepting the fact that it might not be Bielsa, or that wasn't even a consideration. But now they're starting to say that it's, you know, he might be coaching the U.S. national team, and that would piss me the fuck off. It's like, not
Wait,
only
but
did
have
we
you-
lose him, but we're gonna lose him to our worst,
Wait,
our
Have
nemesis.
you heard anything from U.S. media though?
No,
Has U.S. media reported that?
I'll do a quick Google search, but I want to say it's all coming from Mexico, right?
Then I just call bullshit. I don't think they even have a sporting director
Oh,
right now.
Bleacher Report. Mm. U.S.
Wait,
Can
but
you,
the-
Can you play that? Hello, Mr. Iragori. Can you play that clip?
No. Oh wait, this article's from 2011. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, I don't
Can
know.
you play that audio?
What is it?
Jaime?
What is it?
It's in the private chat. It's in the private chat. Hello, Mr. Iragori.
Where is it?
Mm, in the private chat.
I don't see it, bro.
It's a video.
I'll look for it, but I don't see it.
All right, just when you see, it's a funny one.
Huh. So, are we gonna have a coach soon? Wait, is this it?
Hello, Mr. Iragori. Yes, the new coach. He no good. He parked the truck, the bus, in front of the goal.
I get bombarded with those videos like, "Hey, Mr. George," in that thick Spanish accent,
Oh my
complaining about his
god.
coworkers.
Wait, wasn't it one that he took it to the strip club or something? He's like,
The guy
and then
doesn't-
another one that he's drinking in the jar.
Yeah, he does those funny TikTok videos, complaining. He's writing out his coworkers.
That guy wants a promotion, dude.
Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. Man, what a wild week.
Honestly, I don't think this guy's gonna last. Coca. If he gets it, I don't think he'll last.
Well, yeah, I mean, the next coach has to be Mexican, right? Like that is the consensus. He has to be Mexican.
And there's gonna be, yeah, the spotlight's gonna be there, and if these tournaments do happen, the
But they're gonna happen. I mean, they're gonna happen.
the boosted Gold Cup with teams from Europe and Africa and Asia, and then you have a Copa America.
So
Those
my
two-
guess, they're probably gonna do the a Confederations Cup like on steroids, where like they want two from
Yeah,
every
that's the
confederation.
Gold Cup. Well, that's the Gold
Yeah.
Cup. They're
Yeah. So they're probably gonna get the champion and the runner up of each confederation.
Yeah,
That
I
would
mean,
be
hey,
impressive if they could do that.
Looking
Yeah.
bad in either of those tournaments, it would. You do whoever's the coach, they're not gonna live it up.
Would that be the year before the World Cup, 2025?
I don't know, it could be next year. I'm just saying. But
Next
you-
year's
you
the
mess
Copa
up in
America.
you mess up in either of those tournaments, and you don't hear the end of it. The sky is falling.
I mean, like I said, honestly, if they have a bad showing in Copa America,
So then it will be Piojo.
I mean, think about it. How many years has the national team hasn't done anything of significance in quite a bit, and like the league is hurting, the national team is hurting.
Yeah. The latest rumor is Piojo's set to take over Xolos
Cool. There you go, dude.
again.
I know.
¿Por
and
qué, ¿Por qué
that's-
no Márquez? Rafa Márquez.
Because he's doing his thing in Barca, bro. Let him cook.
But
Because he tried to
Let him
stab
cook,
the
bro.
club owners in the back with the player union. That didn't go anywhere.
yeah, it's gonna be some. I don't know. I'm just outsider looking in. It's gonna be some obscure Argentinian guy that maybe played as a backup at River Plate, and
Nah, dude.
then
Hey, Coca played for River Plate.
You're
Yeah.
talking about Chivas now. this, this is not. They're not going. It's because this World Cup they're gonna bring in a player coach has to have some weight on him. That's why people are mentioning Coca because the two campeonatos with Atlas and because Atlas hadn't won in 7 years, so that's easy to like, you know, like package something around him and make him look better. So it has to be someone that has some weight on him like that because anything less than that, the media fans are just gonna be on it, and then that of course affects sponsors and all that. So they're not bringing no one obscure. It's gonna be someone that has some, they accomplished something, they've done something.
I mean, it shouldn't really surprise us that Coca's going to be there because, like, I mean, like I had mentioned a couple of weeks, or I think it was, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that normally the way they used to choose the coach was the coach that had the most recent success in the league.
Yeah.
But what kind of threw me off was that Coca wasn't really being mentioned. Everything was, I mean, and I understand the press is doing things for clickbait, between Bielsa, Piojo, Tuca, for Pachuca, because he's also had some pretty, some success, recently. But it kind of surprised me that Coca wasn't really, in the mix. But like I said, after that meeting, after that Football Picante interview, that kind of to me that solidified. Okay, Pachuca's not going to have a say in this at all. So it's really going to be Televisa and Orlegui that are going to choose the coach. And I just think I have a feeling that Pachuca is going to sabotage. Kind of like similar. Remember, Joely, when you had Lebrija sabotage Toluca.
Oh yeah.
So I have a feeling that you're going to see that.
That's why he opted out of the committee.
Yeah.
He's like, your committee sucks.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I think that's why he did it. I think that's why he doesn't want to be a part of it because, I think he wants to do what basically Lebrija did back in 01. I mean, do you remember? I mean, that got to. I mean, back then there were fisticuffs that were thrown in the locker room.
Yeah, that was like La Puente had done really good. 98, good Gold Cup. 99 wins Confederations Cup, right? And then in 01, he has a bad Gold Cup.
Yeah, but back then the Gold Cup didn't mean anything.
I know, but they use that. They use that to say, "Oh, look, the team sucks now. Time to bring in someone better." And they were pumping sunshine on Ojitos, which his clubs had been sensational. Toros Neza, Toluca, and it sucked that the media went with it, and they had this whole campaign, and it went from La Puente para Presidente to Fuera La Puente.
Yep.
And now in a recent podcast, Ojitos even said he didn't even want to. He didn't even want the national team.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, and it sucks because a really nice guy, and the team just, man. If you think Tata's team was playing bad, go look at Ojitos'
man,
team.
that was a dark time.
Go watch those games and see the results, dude. Man.
Was he responsible for the Aztecaso, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I realized that the media was basically full of shit and about the federation imposing players on coaches, because when you look at when you look at Ojitos rosters, they was basically people that before La Puente. I mean, they weren't really even national team players, but he brought in his crew.
Victor Ruiz.
Victor Ruiz actually was called up by La Puente. But you
Ron, in that podcast, Ron, he talks about players that said not to call them up, and I'm pretty sure that was part of like the whole back and forth
Yeah,
where
because
it was like,
you had guys from Toluca like Omar Blanco and David Rangel and other
Chiquis.
players that and Ojito Chiquis. No, to his credit, Chiquis actually did go up the proper ranks. He went from the 17, the 20, whatever. So he's actually
Proper
one of the
ranks,
few.
meaning he betted his coach's daughter.
No, that was after the fact. No,
that's just the cherry on top of it.
No, Chiquis had a legit career. Basically going from the youth to the national team. Not too many players can say that actually. Um, but but that's kind of like when I started to realize, no, you know what, the media's really full of shit, and this is before like really social media, because you started seeing the rosters that Ojito was using, and I'm thinking, hold on, these guys aren't marketable by any stretch of the imagination. It's not like Televisa's doing a campaign to promote, Omar, David Rangel or Omar Blanco or even Victor Ruiz for that matter. Um, but yeah, and part of that was because what's his name, Rafael Lebrija, who is probably next to Guillermo Cañedo from America, he's probably the best um, club president the league has ever had. Because
Yeah,
I mean,
we
what he
did him
did with,
so dirty at Chivas. I'm still mad about that.
yeah, you guys did, you guys did. Because like I said, I mean, the guy was a
I was
fun.
like, nothing to learn here. Nothing to learn. This guy
Yeah,
offers nothing.
but I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see Grupo Pachuca, what just played out. Let the national team screw up, and
But
then
all right, so if you're Pachuca, why would you want your best coach to leave and coach the national team?
What?
Like
because
I think you're confusing them.
because
What?
Almeida, what's his name?
Almada.
What's his name? Almada. He. Don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning his capacity as a coach, but Pachuca, believe it or not, I mean, with the connections that they have, they can go. They can go to Europe. They can go to South America, and they'll replace them.
Oh,
You
I
know,
see.
because I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
I will give them that.
Pachuca's never depended on the coach for their success.
No.
They have it. They have their structure so well that they could just slot in someone else, and then the team is back to being competitive.
I
Now,
see.
I say this, and I know that you guys are going to laugh about it because I'm a Club America fan. But there's been people that have spoken out about how close Pachuca is with, or how close they were with the officiating commission.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Oh yeah, there's been no. I agree. There's been there's been
So
rumors of that for a long time.
and not just rumors from the media, basically rumors from other coaches and other players and stuff like that. Obviously, yeah, hey, they can't prove it; it's all conjecture. But they keep saying it. They keep saying it. Um, but I don't know. That's why I still think that Grupo Pachuca, is going to strike. I think if Mexico has a really bad Copa America next summer, uh, they're going to circle the wagons.
I don't
And they're
even
going to
think you
start.
have to look that far. We have Nations League matches coming up.
No. That would be too obvious. That would be extremely too obvious. They need something like Copa America. I mean, if they get their asses handed to them, kind of like they did back in the last Copa America, they're going to like I said, they're going to circle the wagons and they're going to look for blood. They're going to try to make the group, the people that hired
Yeah, the committee.
the committee, they're going to make them look bad.
Yeah, the committee.
Oh, I see.
Because here's the thing, Jesus Martinez has, and more than anything, Fassi, who's been used more as a mouthpiece, he's already gone on record, on podcasts and interviews about how, the certain powers that be, are they're not, very innovative, they're not forward thinking, and blah blah blah,
Uh-huh.
But that's where I think, that I think that it ultimately is going to boil the rift between those two groups.
A lot of power plays in this, and I think like your casual fan doesn't know what happens. It's like the iceberg, right? You just see the surface, but you don't know what's underneath. And there's a lot of layers to Liga MX, and we appreciate your insight and your experience, just knowing like no, like these are actually the guys calling the shots here.
Yeah, and it's all with the TV because they're the ones that are trying to get the rights for the national team, which are gonna be up after the World Cup.
Hmm. I
And
don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Televisa is going to be able to to pull a fast one.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because it seems like every time that Pachuca tries to make a move, the Grupo Pachuca, somehow Televisa has a story. You know,
somehow I was just talking to Jaime about this.
somehow they always have a story
Oh yeah,
how Jesus Martinez basically got all these lands for basically pennies on the dollar, you know,
well
and how
they paid off the governors,
yeah
and
and how
even some that that are no longer governors, they like that they still get those Manila envelopes
and how
from
and how basically their school, their university and their high school is just basically just a money
A
grab,
shell.
to get so they can get
yeah.
money from the Department of Education, well at least Mexico's
Yeah,
version of
and then
that.
I think they don't get taxed and stuff like that. So it's a big money scheme. But yeah, Televisa, massive media conglomerate, biggest in Mexico. So I don't I don't I don't doubt if they have a couple of reporters just
I
just on just
let,
on
let,
Pachuca documenting every little detail. Just really quick, it reminded me of this Justice League story where
Justice League.
Batman had Batman had the files on other members in case they went rogue or became evil. He knew how to defeat them. That's kind of Televisa. They have
but
files on everyone, dude.
But they,
They're-
they do. But like I said, Pachuca they've been smart. I mean, like they like in their stadium. Who did they name their press room after?
Who, Pachuca?
Yeah, who their press room.
I forgot.
You know,
oh wait, it's a FIFA guy.
Wait,
no,
Pele?
no, 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 no.
Wait,
Jose Ramon. So
oh, that's right, I
the
forgot.
the journalist that has the most following and the most clout.
Yeah, the most
So they,
connections. Yeah,
so they basically kiss his ass, and then they name they name this after and they have this powwow, and they bring in these FIFA executives like Blatter and blah blah blah.
didn't they
So
name something else after one of the?
yeah,
I have
like
to
I said,
check.
they've had they basically had powwows with a bunch of FIFA officials and stuff like that. But so I mean they're playing the game, you know.
They
So
have
they're
a
playing.
hot dog. They're gonna name a hot dog after trophies later. Give me a trophies, a bacon wrapped trophies dog.
If we were to be accurate, I would do like a jelly donut for La Chofis.
I would.
Holy shit, they've been around since 1901. I just did a quick Google search. That is
Yeah, Pachuca's the oldest club in Mexico, right? That's the
It's fun.
or
Actually,
second
yeah.
oldest.
No. The
actually.
we went back and forth with this guy on Twitter that was now because Pachuca, they claim that they're from 1901, right? And then they are saying, oh, we got some information. No, we're from 1870 something. Okay.
Oh, I see.
So we went.
It's kind of like you guys with your brother title, huh? And then all your amateur titles.
We kept going back and forth. We kept going back and forth because basically what Pachuca did is that they stole the identity, the colors, the crest of a Pachuca team that was founded by by expat Brits, but they're not alive anymore. After basically most of the Brits and Scots back in the yesteryears, they left Mexico, before the Great War because they were being called up. So the Pachuca that that we know now, they're actually from they're actually from the '60s, which but it's not the
Wasn't there
it's
Cruz
not
Azul? No, that's wasn't there a Cruz Azul Hidalgo?
yeah there is
Did they
both
get their franchise?
no Cruz Azul no they they just started, but like I said, they just adopted. They basically stole. They stole the Pachuca's
Well, yeah. I just
history.
want to give a bit more context to what Ron is saying because the earliest teams obviously were from the British, from the sailors that would come, and they would be on the ports.
Yeah,
So like Veracruz, any seaport. So when you see
Mm.
River Plate, like that's where they got the name from the boxes of the crates. They were marked for Rio de
Oh,
la Plata, but it would say River Plate, and they thought that that was cool. The players and that's how
wow.
they named their team. But same in
So you're
Mexico.
saying they came on boats?
They they did come up. So that's where the earliest teams were there because that the sailors would then play in their off time and or the whatever company they would establish in that area for the shipping and whatnot.
That
And
makes
that's
sense with those
yeah,
random ass Argentinian teams. What is it, Newell Boys?
yeah,
yeah.
all the
Uh,
names.
yeah,
No, but like I said, but here's the thing. Like if I wanted to start Club Asturias again or Club España again, you know, I would get hit with a shitload of lawsuits in Mexico because why? Technically, those clubs still exist. Technically, they still have facilities. They still have a lot of members, and they still have their trophies from back in the yesteryears.
Oh,
And a lot of documentation got lost from what was
But
the
like
Mexican Civil
but like
Revolution
for,
run.
yeah, but like for example, Pachuca. I mean, that would be the equivalent of me starting, the Popo Packaging Company Football Club. You know, who the hell's going to fight me? Which owner are going to basically is going to fight me and say, hey, no, you can't use that. That's basically what Pachuca did.
mm.
You know, that's why they've always rubbed me the wrong way because they've tried. No, even when they went with that, they back in that 20 years ago when they started with that shit about el equipo de todos, el equipo de todos.
They used to say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They were like the
they even added
Cowboys. They
the
just claimed
Mexico.
they just claimed
el
themselves as
equipo,
the team of America.
no,
They
el
added
equipo,
the
no,
Mexico colors to their crest too, the flag.
yeah,
Like
it
the
was no,
little.
el equipo de México or some shit like that,
Uh,
and like I said, la cuña del fútbol mexicano. It's like, no, wait a minute, you're not the original Pachuca Athletic Club. They were, but they don't exist. Their guys are dead. They died in the Great War. You know.
Who's the other one? Orizaba or Ori?
Well, I can't prove it obviously, but I mean, I actually have books from the 50s and 40s and stuff like that that obviously mention Orizaba and stuff like that. But if you just use common sense, it's more probable that Brits or even any European, whether it be a Spaniard or Frenchman or German or a Brit, could basically play a game, whether it's rugby, whether it's soccer, whether it's cricket, right in the port cities, be it Tampico, be it Orizaba, be it Veracruz, whatever, than miners in Pachuca, or miners in Hidalgo,
Cornish miners,
or,
right?
or even in Mexico City. Now, it just like we know that they played cricket back in the 1860s and 1850s and 1860s in Mexico. You can bet your ass that they also played soccer.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
this is the
Yep.
other thing too to remember. That gives more strength to the whole port cities. First, like for the rules, so they will come in English, like from England, like
mm-hmm.
whatever. I forget the names because there was like two or three different rules for soccer. But like if you wanted uniforms, if you wanted cleats and the soccer balls, they didn't make them in Mexico. I don't think they started making them till like the 40s. So
Yeah, no,
all of that stuff had to be exported and from England.
Damn.
And even from other parts of Europe, they would get from England. Like you read the Juventus, and their uniform used to be pink, and then
yep.
they sent to England for uniform, and they sent them the black and white by mistake, and they ended up just keeping that. So I mean, you even have teams from Italy, So it's more so in Mexico because there just wasn't an industry for that, or or much. Um, a lot of people asking for that shit. Like, who's gonna buy a
Yeah,
leather soccer ball?
the Juve crest or the black and white was inspired by the English team. I forget the name, but it was set on accident.
Was it
Oh,
Newcastle?
okay, yeah.
By English side, I think it was like Notts County, something like that.
Probably
So
Oh,
Newcastle,
yeah.
no?
yeah,
Newcastle had
Those
his
those
black
two
print.
have similar. Yeah, they're similar looking.
Yeah, on Wikipedia it says that they were founded by Cornish miners.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that. That's well established. My contention is that that's not the original team. Uh, they basically just took over. Basically assumed someone else's history, club, crest and stuff like that.
That's pretty smart, though.
It is. You got to give it to him. I mean, good for him.
He's
And
like,
I've always
how
said,
do we make this? How do we make this?
and I've always said,
sausage?
if we had more, Jesus Martinez's, you would have a fully autonomous league, independent owners and stuff like that.
Pachuca exposed.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like I said, there's certain. I mean, he didn't get to to where he's at by basically being nice, playing nice. I mean, the guy's obviously he has stolen an identity, knowing that there's no one alive to contest it.
Wow.
Or documents. That's the other one, Ron.
Yeah,
There's very little documents, unfortunately, for us.
and that's what I was asking that other quote unquote historian from Pachuca. I was going back and forth with it, and I said, look, I have no skin in the game because that other guy, basically he was being paid by Pachuca, for consultation fees and blah blah blah. I basically said, hey, I have no skin in the game. I personally don't care, but prove to me that Pachuca, that's the real Pachuca. Give me the articles of of organization. Give me something. Give me the minutes. Give me whatever. And if you say, hey, got lost in a fire, well, which fire? What day? I'm sure that it got documented.
Yeah.
Hello?
We're here,
So
man.
what is it about Pachuca that gets hailed as like the best, quote unquote, best system to bring up foster talent? Is it money then, or is it?
No, I think they've had a good. They've had a couple good players out of their system, right? But when they were going in Equipo de Mexico stuff, I didn't buy that for 1 minute because they were actually one of the first teams that started basically having 6, 7, 8 players when there was still that decree, but they were bending the rules. And that's and a lot of, well, not a lot, but some of the press were calling them out and saying, hey,
You mean
how
like
can you
foreigners?
call yeah, because they were doing the I mean, this before they the league eliminated the that decree of five national team, I'm sorry, five foreigners,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. They were basically playing with the rules, and like if you were naturalized, they
It
would
didn't
count you
count.
that
Yeah.
exactly. Um, and obviously, like I said, it helps that they have invested a lot of money in infrastructure. There's no denying that. However they got that infrastructure, whether they got the lands and the facilities on pennies on the dollar and stuff like that. Hey, that's good for them. More clubs should do it. But I mean, honestly, I mean, I see Santos actually. I see Santos has been doing it consistently better than Pachuca, and up until recently, Club America got into developing players. I mean, because if I'm not mistaken, I think the last time I read, the team that had the most exports to Europe was Club America. You know, um, So, but honestly, I've never been convinced. The last great team that was consistently developing national team players was Pumas, but they they have they've kind of turned on.
They started
You know,
playing Moneyball.
you know what? Like they, like I said, I mean they. It's like they've gone back on their word that they were going to use the resources of the university for the betterment of the country, and that's why they were committed into developing players that that would go on to other clubs in Mexico or the national team and do well.
That's
I mean,
interesting
really, I mean,
because I think I wonder if it's like an issue with like more leagues now because I know Serie A, that's like a big conversation right now. Is like you look at Italy's failure the last 5 or so years,
10 years,
and the
man.
big yeah, we like to say five just to soften the blow, right? But but it's if you think about it, I think it was like 50% of the players in Serie A are not Italian, more than 50% rather, and it's like
Damn.
they've
Damn.
started to cash out also. So it's like, what is? I wonder if that is kind of the same thing that's going on in Mexico, where it's like your goal is to cash out. Meanwhile, the development of young talent, like actual Mexican talent, is on the back burner. But who knows?
What's going on over there in Italy? Another scandal with Juve?
yeah. Well, hey, and also another scandal in Britain with Man City.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's no surprise that I have read countless articles going back from the 2010 2011 that there's going to be a reckoning in Europe. The money that is thrown around
Like the Super
is
League?
just not just in general it's not sustainable. You know, I mean, there's if you think about there's Barcelona should not have any financial problems if you think about it. With the amount the amount of money or like that they get, there's no reason that they should be having my financial difficulties. And honestly, there's going to come a point where salaries, not just in soccer, but just in general in sports entertainment, is going to have to go down. You know, I don't I don't think that that sports was ever designed to have players making quarter of a billion or even $500 million.
I mean, the money's got to come from somewhere. Revenue,
Well,
ads,
Mafia.
sponsor.
no, I get it. I mean, the salary should be proportionate to what a club or a league make. But like I said, with the whole globalization and stuff like that, I mean, it's going to come to a point where it's going to burst. There's not going to be. I mean, what the Saudi league is paying, or the Qatari leagues are paying, or even the Chinese leagues are paying to attract basically older players that are on the ends of their careers, and then obviously what they're spending in Europe. That's just not. You can't sustain that, man. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got docked for false, basically just fixing the numbers. I think they're now
Mm-hmm.
in 10. They're in 10th now. So, but yeah, I think it's going to come to light. And it's funny that some of these scandals are the way that you think a club execs would be communicating is not over text messaging. I know some they were like WhatsApp messages. So it's like these guys are not that wise, but maybe there is a reckoning that's coming. But
It is, and one of the things that people also have to understand is that different countries use different accounting standards in
Yeah.
terms of how you record the assets, the liabilities, and the equity, and like the receivables and stuff like that. So there's ways to cook the books to make it seem like you're more profitable, or you have more equity than what the reality is. So you know I mean, think about this. Rangers went into receivership. The most popular club in Scotland. You know. So,
Yeah. The salaries that some of these players make is pretty nuts, but I don't know.
yeah, I remember Real Madrid. In fact, what the day was? It was the day that Mexico won the Olympics, the gold.
Mm-hmm.
That same day, Real Madrid was in Philly, and I saw them play against Celtic later on in the afternoon. And I remember a lot of the Celtic fans were making fun of they were making fun of Rangers.
Rangers, yeah.
Because if you think about it, that was in that time frame you had Rangers that basically went into receivership, and they basically the Scottish League kicked them out, and they basically sent them back to the fourth division, and that was around the time, like maybe I think what is it, a year later, when River Plate went down to
yeah.
Who's the highest paid player in Liga MX? Is that Guignac?
I would assume it's Guignac.
Yeah, him and Florin Thauvin, the Frenchman.
Yeah, I would again. Technically, salaries technically aren't really published. I know there's a lot of people that claim 3 million or 4 million, but no one knows for sure because they don't the teams don't document or they don't air out that information, which I think they should.
I mean, there's a reason they don't, and that's why like this whole
They used to say for protection of the players,
yeah, bullshit.
No, they all know they make money,
That's why like this whole idea of maybe there'll be a super league in the future. No, because Liga MX is not going to be able to be transparent about their finances.
If the money's right, yes, they will.
If the money's right.
No, it is. I mean, if the money's right, and they're making what they want to make, because think about it. I mean, the NFL, the MLB, all that stuff. You know the salary. You know who's making what. MLS, you know who's making what. So if League MX is going to have a strong like we're going to merge with the US, and if the idea is to have one super league, those numbers you're going to have to be transparent.
Yeah, I was watching the documentary on like how the Super League came and went, how it came to that. And like, dude, they were literally like backstabbing each other, man. Like we were talking about like the European president inviting one of the dudes over to like he was like the godfather of some child, and like the next day just like backstabbing, like, yeah, we're gonna create this Super League behind your back and shit. It's like crazy how cutthroat it is.
Entonces Coca is officially the coach then, huh?
Nah, nothing official.
Everybody now is saying it, Everybody is saying it now. Until I see the actual announcement, from an official, league or federation, account. But the fact that you're having, because there's certain reporters that will air out, rumors, quote unquote. But usually some of the more serious reporters, they won't air those out, those rumors out until it's official.
Aside from Atlas, I don't know a lot about him. I think I heard that he was coaching Santos, and then he got the sack there after a season, right? But maybe that was early on in his career. Can you guys like legitimize the hire in any way, or can you guys say like, well, maybe we should give him a shot for this reason?
The only thing that you can say, because like I said, I mean, if you use previous methods of choosing the coach, which back then was which coach had the most recent success, or a string of successes, then you can argue that, well, hey, bicampeonato with Atlas. Now he has Tigres playing pretty well. He left Atlas on his own terms. I mean, really, you can make a case for. I mean, you can't deny that.
He's just a flavor of the month, man. Nothing
well, I mean,
new.
Hey, getting a team to win in 80-something years. I mean that's that's difficult, you know. You know that's difficult thing to do, and I mean you can't, you know, got to give him credit for that. But I also think it's valid criticizing the style of play. Now, granted, Atlas is not a team that gets a lot of, you know, stars. So I'm hoping that you know, hey, with, you know, with the national team, you get to pick the best players in the country. So, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, knowing that, it's like, hey, I can play what I want or how I want. Because, like I said, Atlas, in many ways, they're still, you know, equipo chico, small team. I mean, so, you know, playing those type of tactics, equipo chico,
Yeah, it doesn't always translate.
yeah, it's valid, you know.
We have Ricardo hopping on Twitter Spaces. How we doing?
How's it going, gentlemen?
we're
How you
doing
doing, bud?
we're doing good, man. Just to keep you up to speed, Chofis is a god, and Dio Coca's their new coach, so that's what's happening right now.
Nice. So that's what you guys are talking about, Coca being the coach?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, whoever put that guy as a head coach is on Coca. If anyone's seen any Atlas game since he's won his bicampeonato, I've seen him since he was at Santos. He only has one style of play. He's very defensive. He pretty much won the bicampeonato with balonazos. Just
Yeah,
throwing it up and making sure Quiñones or Furch they get it, and to their credit they always did, and they always made plays, and they got the job done. But I don't know how that translates to the Mexican team.
It doesn't.
it really doesn't, you
That's
know.
Italian style right there. That's doorball team right there. Um, you need, yeah, you're right. I don't know how that does translate. Um,
But isn't it funny? Like don't get me wrong. I might be connecting dots that aren't there, and I'm seeing shit like in Russell Crowe in that one movie, The
Beautiful
Beautiful
mind.
Mind. With these people that are there, that are not really there. But this is one of the reasons why I wanted Argentina to lose the World Cup, because this all ties in together. Because I don't have nothing against Argentinians. I a bunch. One of my favorite players was El Piojo Lopez, 2005, when he helped America win that title. And I don't really have a I don't follow the Italian league much, but I do. Whenever I do, I happen to watch some inner games, and I like their history. But when it comes to Liga MX, there's one guy you have to look at when you see all these transfers, and even now it's coming up to the national team. Is that scumbag, spoiled tea drinking fuck from the the guy that pretty much more or less he hijacked 9/11 style, the TJ Cholos, and he no one goes to Cholos, to Querétaro, and if I believe Santos now, the foreigners, unless it's through him. And he has a plethora of trainers and players all around the world. And I don't think you'd remember this, Jaime, but last year, before the season started, Joel was shitting on America, talking about how they contract. They got they don't have any more bombazos, right? That they only go for
Oh, that's
MLS.
not shading. That's facts. They're just getting MLS players. That was, how is that shitting on them? They haven't had Refuerzo Bomba and dude, I don't know how long, dude. Maybe since Bam Bam Zamorano. Who was the last? Who was the last Bomba you guys had?
Jeremy Menes.
Or if you're talking
Yeah.
about bombas, it's Henry Martin, man.
Oh, I know, but keep going, dude. I don't wanna
No,
sidetrack.
anytime anyone talks bad about America, I take it as shitting. So just keep that in mind, all right?
All right.
But, no, but anyways, last season, before the season started last year, Joel mentioned that about the bombazos. And I mentioned Iñárritu, how he came back to America. And he was on Picante. He was doing he was going through like a little media tour with all the popular shows. And he mentioned how pretty much the South America is close to them. None of these agents want to work with America. And if you see any South American players on America, it's because they're playing in MLS or in Europe. Like America's pretty much vetoed out of contracting players because of this scumbag,
Sí, Bragarni.
Bragarnik. He pretty much owns Cholos, Elche, and and an Italian team. Like he's the guy, and now he's putting Coca on the national team. And Jaime had right after the World Cup ended. I even mentioned this to you, and I wasn't joking, man. The more these guys win, that's why I wanted these guys to lose, because the more influence they have in world football, and it's happening before your very eyes. Because these Liga MX owners, they don't know shit about football, aside from like Orlegi and maybe Pachuco. These other guys, they don't know any. They listen to these spoiled tea drinkers, and they hear this fancy accent, and they fall in
Tea, you
love,
mean
man.
mate?
Yeah.
Okay, you threw me off for a long time. Like tea.
Yeah, I'm like, where's the Brits?
Yeah.
Well, is the Argentines if Coca shows up to is the head coach, you know who put him there.
So then uh, I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat.
Put the
If he's
whole
part
suit
of the
on, man.
no, well, if Bragarni's part of the Trucholo's part of the committee, so then that means he smoked a peace pipe with America.
If I'm not mistaken, that Bragarnik or whatever his name is, isn't he mostly associated with the Hank, the what's the name from Tijuana, Hank, rather than Orlegi?
Yeah, but Tijuana is part of the committee.
I know, but not so much on the Grupo Orlegi side, but more on the Hank Ron side.
Yeah, but I mean, if they welcome him into the group,
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's some type of, they're not gonna bring like an enemy, like someone that's gonna actively trying to hurt them
He
or
sends
take over them.
players to the Azteca teams too, Puebla and Mazatlan. So you can add those are two more votes for him. I know it sounds crazy, but
No, it doesn't, because I mean, think Carlos, Carlos, what's the name?
Hurtado.
No, Carlos Ahumada. The guy was associated with Santos, with I forget that other team and stuff like that. Another Argentine guy, nationalized Mexican, that had a lot of influence in Mexico, but ultimately he got his caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and had to see time. So, but basically, I mean, the whole South American promoters and reps, you know in Mexico, that I mean that's to be expected, Unfortunately, that's to be expected. Like, did you guys ever watch the series with Luis Miguel
No.
on
I
Netflix?
did the first part.
Yeah,
it was good.
I mean, you, you, having managers and reps from Argentina and Spain, just in the whole entertainment realm, they're all over the place. You know.
Say it how it is, Ron. They're the Jews of South America, and nothing against Jews, but that's how it is when it comes to football. These
I
guys
mean,
have connections. They can put people where they need to be or where they don't need to be.
look, I forget that actress, but basically that actress, I forget her name. She's from Argentina. She said that Mexico is the Hollywood of the Spanish speaking world. So it's to be expected that you're going to have, especially in the most dominant market in the Spanish speaking world. It's to be expected that you're going to have, like I said, foreigners that are want to have their hand in the cookie jar.
The more I know, the less I want to know, man. They're over here playing a game, man.
Yeah, give it like 30 years, 40 years when these Argentines start to integrate and have babies in Mexico, and then the full connect will come full circle,
full
and Mexico will be.
It's already we already saw it.
Yeah,
there's a few Mexican yeah,
There's been there's a
the hijo
but there's
de
been before.
Jimenez, right? What's his name?
Tulio Davino was one of them.
Yeah.
Going back to like '98. That was
Bucetich,
Davino.
Bucetich,
Buse? What was Buse?
his dad. I mean, he came to his father came. His father's was an Argentine football player, soccer player.
Yeah.
What's the story with
All
Borghetti?
right.
Because that sounds Italian.
Borghetti
His
is
family,
Italian.
just his family.
His family, yeah.
Oh,
Same as the Nigris.
What about Melvin Brown?
Jamaican.
Yeah, in Horacio Casarin's
He's
autobiography.
Jamaican?
His family.
Yeah, his father is.
Shit.
Bomba
But
Club.
yeah, in Horacio Casarin's autobiography, he spoke of Bucetich, father and son.
Yeah, we've had a few already. I mean, Saguinho, right, one of the more famous ones. Saguinho, Dulio Davino. There's been some others that probably just been there longer and we just forgot.
Hey, well,
But I just really quick, I do think we will see it again. Well, I mean, we're kind of seeing it already with Santi Jimenez. There's
hey,
Abreu kid. So
Funes
yeah,
Mori.
you'll see it again.
hey, the former national team player, also executive for Pumas. Remember Luis Reguero? Played in the 19. He was from the 60s, but he was he was I forget the role that he had with Pumas when with what's his name Hugo had the bicampeonato. You had Ayub as the club president, but you had Luis Reguero. He was I forget the position that he had, but he's always been associated with Pumas. Always and but that he going back to foreigners and stuff like that, he is the son of a player that played for that Basque team from Spain that came to the Mexico during the Spanish Civil War from back in the 30s. So you had a bunch of those. You had a bunch of players that stayed from that team. Just about all of them stayed and died in Mexico. Like they did, they lived their entire lives in Mexico. Coached in Mexico, had sons, offspring that were also professional players. But which goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Joel, about America, and like the memes, the memes that I posted earlier today. Hello.
Yeah, we're listening.
Okay.
And a lot of those Spanish players back in the day, they're national team players for Spain too. They were
Yeah.
famous for their time, right?
Yep, they were.
Well,
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell Joel something real quick as well. Because Joel, you just can't say Zaguinho without saying America's all-time leading goal scorer too, man. You gotta add that as well when you say it.
Yeah.
But isn't it crazy? Like, could you imagine Brazil going into Argentina and pulling some shit like that? You think they'd actually let them get away with something like that?
Not anymore. Did you guys watch that Pele Netflix?
No.
Okay, I think it was on Netflix or who, I don't remember which one of those things. But going to what trying to answer what you're asking right now about what doing what the Brazil and Argentina pull that shit. Prior, I never knew this until I watched that Belay documentary. I forget the term or what they used, like, but prior to them winning the World Cup in '58, when they lost it in '50 to
Uruguay.
Uruguay. So I'd have to go back and read it, but I think the word they used was mongrel or something like that. But basically, they were saying that Brazilians had an inferiority complex.
Damn.
That if basically that anything foreign was better, anything Brazil was just shit. And
That's crazy.
it's crazy, but it seems that it's funny how Brazil basically changed course, and Mexico, fast forward, basically 60 years, still has that complex where anything Mexican shit, anything that's foreign is better.
I think it's being neighbors to the U.S. has a lot to do with it.
Maybe so. But like I said, it's that like I said, I didn't picture that from Brazil. Like when I was watching it, and like when I was watching that documentary, like a couple of weeks ago, and it's like when they were saying that, it's like, oh, well, gee, where have I seen that before?
Hmm.
And like I said, in Mexico, and like Piojo said that a couple, I think was it the year before, that that it's much harder for the Mexican player and the Mexican coach in their own league because they hand things out to they hand things out to the foreign players, the foreign coaches, even the foreign media.
I mean, look at the way they're
what,
treated in Belgium and the Netherlands.
yeah, I
They're
mean,
they're they're treated like local celebrities, right?
what
Really?
other like what other country do you know of? I mean, think about all the amount of Mexican or foreign media members covering Mexican soccer. It's a lot, you know. So Piojo, when he said this, what 2-3 years back, he caught a lot of shit for it. But hey, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You know, look at the media, look at the amount of coaches, look at the amount of players. You know,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if we started to see that with the owners, you know. But I just, like I said, I think that's been Mexico's reality. That's been Mexico's reality since even before their professional era. And like I was telling Joel, I mean, on the books we say that Mexico went professional in 1943, but we know that's not true. I mean, I made the case. I mean, what you had players, and this is like before the Spanish Civil War, but you had players from Spain, you had players from Uruguay, you had players from Argentina, which they were already professional in name. So why would a professional player come to Mexico and play in a quote unquote amateur league? Because even then they were making more money in Mexico. And then we're not talking about boot money either. We're talking about they were being paid, they were getting paid salaries.
This just speaks to America's greatness.
Yeah, no,
I,
that's
I'm gonna have
that's
to
why
ask Ron the same question he asked the Pachuca reporter.
Yeah.
I want to see the paperwork. I want to see the pay stubs, Ron. If there was a fire that got rid of that, when was that fire?
Hey,
No,
but
I do agree on that they were bringing already players.
Oh,
The
hey,
only thing was that the
it's
what
I can prove it with trust me, bro.
trust me, that's valid. No, yeah, I think my only take was not criticism, but that the league wasn't a whole. It was like divided.
Oh yeah, it's
So
always
it
been
was like
divided. Up.
no, but I mean it was like two leagues, like Occidente
Oh
and
no,
like
there's actually
Mexico
more than
City.
that, brother. There was actually a lot more.
Oh
You
yeah,
had the one.
but there
You
wasn't
had
like one. It wasn't like one.
but if you
You
think,
know,
but if you think about it, the very first organized league, the first organized league, the one that was played in 1902, right? You had, if you look at it, you had basically what it was. I think it was like you all the vast majority of the teams were from Mexico City, and then you had Veracruz and you had Pachuca. And back then, traveling to Pachuca and traveling to Veracruz wasn't as easy. But even then, they played in the league for a couple of years, and then Puebla got involved and stuff like that. So even then, you can't say that it was just a regional a Mexico City-based league. Now, eventually, there came a time, like for like a decade or so, that Pachuca was no longer participating, but that had to do more with the players having to go back to Europe for for the war purposes.
wasn't Orizaba part of that too?
Orizaba Orizaba and Pachuca were played in the very first organized tournament in Mexico.
Hey, Ron, but I really like that meme, man. Either that what the one side has said, all right, if the league wasn't professional, America's still better. It's still the biggest league. And if it was professional, America is even bigger because you can add officially those 4 titles,
You
man.
can,
Why are you
yeah,
guys
you can.
adding up all these Mickey Mouse titles? Stop it.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, the best teams in Mexico at that time were basically the Euro based in the 20s. It was the Euro based and more so the Spanish teams, Asturias and España. Okay, so America was actually the first Mexican team that basically uh, they basically ended the Spanish superiority of the league, and they won 4 consecutive titles, and they're the ones that basically formed the national team to go play the Olympics in 28 in what was it in Stockholm, and then the World Cup in 1930. So that's why I was trying to make fun of Joel. It's like you got to choose one. Was it professional, or you got to give America those 4 extra titles?
Oh my god. The inferior complex, man. Just
I'm
stop
gonna
it.
settle for semi-professional. Semi-pro still gets paid.
Because
It was semi-pro.
Because right now, most Chivas fans do not want to consider Prode because with Prode, they have one extra. They have what is it? One extra title.
Like, because Prode, you didn't play every team in the league.
But did Chivas participate in Prode?
They did, but I mean, the
Okay.
league title means you play each team that's in the league.
Okay. Question.
They only played like 8 teams.
Question. So whoever this weekend Super Bowl, whoever wins is the league champion, right? Is the champion of the NFL, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's different.
No. Did the Eagles play every 30 teams, like all the 30 teams?
That's not the same logic, bro.
No, it is the same logic.
No,
Nah.
because Liga. See, this is the thing that the league already had a structure, right? And so for Prode, they were changing they were changing the format, so they even brought out a different trophy. Had it been part of the league, they would have used the league trophy, but they made a Pro Day trophy. So you could go check at the America Trophy cabinet, and you see that Pro Day trophy. It's separate.
You remember watch the movie Half Baked?
Long time ago.
Remember when Sir Smoke-A-Lot is rolling a joint, and he's like, talking to Dave Chappelle, and he's talking, he's just, spilling his guts, and he's like, I understand, That's basically, okay, Harv, I understand your logic, I understand. Like I said, you're either way, America has more titles. Pro Day or no Pro Day.
What I don't get is, like, if you guys are so superior than us, why you gotta go counting that one? You guys should just focus on winning more titles. Why you gotta go back and be like, this one counted too?
FIFA accepts those titles. It's not me saying this. Take it up with the Swiss Mafia.
Exactly.
Whatever makes you feel better at night.
But you also have to add to this. America is unique in the world compared to any other team.
I mean, for a lot of reasons.
But one of the main ones, Jaime, not even Real Madrid.
That you guys are gay.
No. Jaime, come on, man.
I'm kidding, bro.
These Chiva low blows, you're better than that. Come on, man. No, well, America funds an entire league, man. No other team in the world does that.
I think they did it for a while. They don't do it anymore. But they did do it for a good. They did have to run, but I don't. That hasn't been the case. I don't know how long, but you could say that they were like when Phil Anschutz owned like the majority of the MLS teams.
What's up, gentlemen?
How you doing?
What's going on? Looks like we're being bombarded by Americanistas all trying to defend their Pro Day title.
It turned into the Ahmed podcast.
It's like Beetlejuice. All of a sudden, they all show up, man.
It turned into the Eagle Eye pod.
Yeah, Jolie trying to take away the Pro Day title.
I'm not taking it away. It's still there. It's its own thing. That's why it's its own trophy.
So you gotta be careful because you try to bring in the logic of that America didn't play every single team. Let me ask you: does the Champions League winner play every single team in the Champions League?
No, they don't, sir.
And that's a straight up that's a league that's played every single year.
It's called league, even though it's more of a cup tournament.
No, the cup tournament would be the knockout stages. That's the second half. This is like a complete league that's played every year, and the winner doesn't play every single team.
The league still made a separate trophy for Pro Day, though. So how you get away from that?
So
if it was the league, they would have just handed the league, and then just really quick, after that they went back to the regular trophy.
The trophy that America lifted in 2002 is not the same trophy they lifted in 2005. Trophies get redesigned all the time.
No. But see, this one it wasn't. It was its own thing, and the other one stayed in use for a long time still.
Okay, Jorge. Explain to me why Monterrey gets to celebrate their Mexico 86 title.
No, they that should be also lifted.
Oh,
that one too. That one. Yes, that one doesn't count as well.
So Chivas gets to decide what counts and what doesn't?
No. You know what? There's old reports, newspapers. You could if you search for the FMF president at the time, and he said that Pro Day was not the league; it was its own separate tournament, and that's why it's called Pro Day, because it's Pronósticos Deportivos, which is a betting, like you could buy like what happened.
That's just the sponsor, okay?
Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
a
we've had.
sponsor.
I mean, it used to be Comex, the Comex, Apertura.
No, but
They,
that was they weren't sponsoring the league. They were sponsoring like the tournament for that year because they canceled it for World Cup. They were gonna cancel
It's like
the
the
league.
the tournament we just had, the Copa por Mexico. They called it the Sky Copa this year.
Wait,
okay,
wait.
hey,
No, there's
so,
there's
so,
sponsorships all the time, like Liga BBVA. Like that's still
so
just because there's sponsorship doesn't take away
Yeah,
the
but
officialness.
that
hey,
wasn't a
hey,
thing back then though,
so,
because
hey,
then you didn't have any more sponsors after that.
the format for the league also changed prior to the World Cup in 1970. Does that count?
Yeah, because that's league. You have the own president saying that this was a separate thing because after that they went back to the regular schedule programming.
Uh-huh.
You guys won it. I'm not saying you didn't win it, and but I'm just saying that's what was said at the time, that it was its own separate thing, and the clubs agreed to use youth. Most of the clubs were playing with youth. That was a part of the reason why the last seleccionados weren't there because they were with the selección, and so it was like its own side thing.
This reminds me of the meeting of the Scots after William Wallace, wins the first battle, and you have like that those factions in Scots. I demand recognition of these documents. you know, so
But
did not did,
go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
all right. So Mexico 70. Uh-huh. So it says due to celebration in Mexico for the World Championship, the Mexican FA decided to play this special tournament in two phases. Before and after, 16 teams were seeded in two groups of 8 teams, each one first 4 places. So, so what they did, I mean, really, they did something similar for the 70, World Cup. But but who? Let me see who wanted that one. Let's see. How
Cruz Azul, I think, and
Cruz Azul and Guadalajara. Go figure.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. When you think about it, in fact, that's Guadalajara won the 69-70 league, and they basically went. Let me count here. All right, my math is a little off here. All right, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 seasons, basically 19 years, dude. So Guadalajara won another league title.
We're like Haley's Comet, bro. Every 10 years.
That's why you guys are mad. You guys, did well early on and then just crapped out.
Out of all the languages Johnny and Ron could have
Mhm.
spoken, you guys decided to speak with the truth, man.
No lies detected.
Yeah, no, I'm walking in the door from the law library. As I have like my mind just full of just arguments. I'm ready to battle.
Mm-hmm. When do you finish law school, Johnny?
I'm set to graduate in 2025. I'm barely in my second semester, but I'm starting to apply for internships with some judges.
That's good.
nice.
I'll make sure to start a company so we can become sport agents.
A lot of classmates. That's what they're going into. Like they're going to law school to be sports agents.
You guys could always go sign up all those Chivas players. They like to be ripped off with all the money they pay for them.
Not bad.
So yeah. So I heard you guys talk a little earlier about about Diego Coca, and I guess you guys are not big fans of that.
I just don't. I'm not taking anything away from him in terms of his success, because obviously winning with Atlas. But I mean, in terms the way Atlas played didn't really convince me. And I think there's been a lot of like at least on Twitter, I've read a lot of comments from pundits talking about how how defensive he is.
You know, I I gotta put it out there. Maybe Mexico needs a little bit of humble juice, and we're not. Mexico is not the Spain of the world, and they don't have the talent to be an attacking team. So maybe this is good for Mexico in the long run.
I don't know about that,
Well,
Chief.
here's here's it's interesting point you make there, Regal. But here's the thing: Mexico has been, at least for the last 30 years, has been one of the few teams that has always tried to propose, even when they're going up against teams that are quote unquote on paper better.
Yeah.
But now we have players in Europe. Okay.
Yeah, but
So so technically, on paper, we're supposed to be a better team. On paper, because we have more players in Europe than we did 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I just think that I've always believed in what La Puente used to say, that it's not about it being offensive or being defensive, is being balanced. You know, and I've always agreed to his philosophy in that regards, because for as much as La Puente used to be criticized as being ultra defensive, his teams were anything but.
and
You know,
I can agree with balance. Like I'm all for balance, but I think Mexico focuses way too much on the attack, and I don't think we have the talent to be focusing on. We don't have a good striker. Like
yeah.
you want to be overly focused on attack when you don't have a guy that can score goals. Like that's just not going to work out too well. So I agree with balance. But in order to achieve balance, Mexico has to put a little less focus on the attack, and I think maybe Diego Coca might be the person to bring that bit of humbleness back to Mexico.
Park the bus, baby. You know what? Fuck it. If it hasn't worked the other way, why not go the other way?
The thing is, though, with Tata, we didn't even have an offensive team. Like he didn't really play to be aggressive offensively. We played for like a nada, dude. There was no clear vision, and then he decides to take the little bit of attack that we did have, and then he turns and goes against his own tactics against Argentina. It's like, dude, like I don't know. We don't know how to park the bus.
I mean, if we do go that route, or that we see that do that, they would probably use a sweeper or somebody to act as a defensive player, but also in organizing attacks from the back. Who can do that? Chucky?
Edson Alvarez.
Yeah.
Edson Alvarez is your box to box guy that can play in the midfield, drop into being a center back, push up the field, score some goals if he has to, just like he did against Cruz Azul in that final.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the guy you build the team around.
yeah, they sure as hell don't have a striker, like a bona fide, like legit striker to play the other way. So
They don't have a striker, a goalkeeper, good midfielders.
Whoa, we got a goalkeeper in Europe.
You're right, John. You're right.
I have
yeah,
a
I got no
coladera at
problem.
my grandma's house. Why don't we just use that? It'd probably be as efficient.
Man,
Hey, he is leading Serie A with saves right now. So
I mean, when you don't have a defense, it's kind of expected.
that's true.
Oh, Ron got kicked out. Hold on. We are coming up on the 2 hour mark pretty soon. So if you guys want to have your closing thoughts.
Oh, I'll sign off pretty quick. Thank you for having me, letting me speak my mind when when you guys attack America. So thanks to everybody. Glad to catch up with y'all.
I got nothing. God bless. Um, Park the bus. That's what we're. That's what we're looking at here, and let's hope for the best. I mean, needless to say, whether Mexican football is quote unquote successful on the international front, who knows of when that'll be, if it'll be. But one thing you can say is that it's damn entertaining. So I'll give it that.
That's facts. That's the one thing we can all take from this is
Always some cheese, man.
no matter what happens, the entertainment will be there always. Whether it's good or bad, it's just like a train wreck. You just can't keep your eyes off of it. Ricardo, what you got for us, man? It's funny that we were able to avoid talking about some actual Liga MX action that did happen over the weekend. Another week goes by and America continues to get draws. What's up with that, man?
Undefeated, baby.
Undefeated.
She was like Mayweather, undefeated. But I'd like to thank you guys. It's always a pleasure to talk with you guys about football. I'd like to say I'm pretty much done with the national team if they hire that guy. I've been done since 2002 though, but aside from that, yeah. Well, aside from that, America, Jaime, I always tell you, you got to keep this in mind when it comes to America. These other teams, I'll include Chivas too. Whenever they see America in front of them, they get the devil possesses them, man. They go like that Goku when they give them the power with the bomb. When they put their hands up, like they get otherworldly Central American strength. What happens when Mexico plays when they play El Salvador? That's their Super Bowl, right?
It's their World
Same
Cup.
thing here. Exactly, same thing. You, when you play America, you play a little harder. That's how it always is.
I mean, everybody plays against Chivas like it's the World Cup too, man.
I just think Chivas is so trash that's just their level, man. It's not them playing up. No, but one last thing, Jaime. I'd like to thank Johnny and Ron for giving me some backup because every time I come on here, I feel like Anne Frank, just persecuted. You guys want to throw me to the gas chamber?
Oh my God!
It's really,
stop.
but I still come on here because I'm the biggest fan. I've been the biggest fan since I've been following you guys forever.
Hey man, we appreciate that. We have Ron. What you got for me, man?
Have you guys watched that series, This Fool?
Oh yeah, man. I just finished it.
Well, maybe I should. I don't want to ruin it.
Oh.
Like I have an analogy of Mexican soccer.
Oh.
Like you had the chance to make 15 million.
Oh God.
but but you couldn't deliver. That's kind of how I feel about Mexican soccer at the moment, and it's funny because I hadn't felt. I just think in general the league, the national team, just everything in the whole Mexican soccer ecosystem is just not where it should be. And I mean, I think going back to Copa America is obviously a path in the right direction, but personally, for me, it's not gonna. We have to get into Comebol. That to me is the only solution because every year you're able to see where you're at and how you stand up to talent, international talent. And like I said, I mean it's like we're back in the dark ages. It's like you know, I mean, I remember, what was it like? I think, shit, how old was I? Was it 10 years old? No. I mean, I remember when Mexico didn't, participate in the 90 World Cup and it sucked. And then like, those years right after that 90 World Cup,
when you didn't know if Mexico was going to make it to the 94, World Cup. And I mean, honestly, we shouldn't really be celebrating. Back then we were celebrating beating Canada to qualify. So, I mean, Canada, a team that technically doesn't have a lot of history, you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
but that 93, that 93 Copa America was the catalyst that basically got Mexico to do really well for, like I said, Mexican soccer was growing. And I just feel that we've gone backwards. And I don't say that just because, oh, hey, MLS is getting better or US is getting better. Personally, I don't care. That's not, it's their success doesn't have to be at our expense. You know what I mean? Costa Rica getting better doesn't mean necessarily that it's at our expense. We're just not getting better because of the choices. And it's funny because more people put more emphasis on the coach and the players and stuff like that. I tend to look more at the off field, the executive decisions, because that's really what ultimately makes or breaks a federation, in a league.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just I'm hopeful because obviously Mexico's back in Copa America, but I'm waiting for Copa Libertadores. I'm waiting for I'd settle even for Sudamericana. I'd settle for that. But that's my take, boys.
Sure, Ron. Always pleasure having you on. Your insight. Joel, what you got for me? Oh, no.
No,
Oh, there
yeah,
he is. There he is.
I was muted. I was going I was going up on trophies. I've criticized him a lot, but I've never doubted his talent. I do think he's I do think he'll get a shot again. If he stays consistent, I think not again, or maybe again with the national team.
Mm.
And I do think, because I do think they're lacking players like that. They're lacking attack. They're lacking a player like that could create. And so I do think he can, you know, he can like have that one last hurrah because he's up there in age. So this would be like his last. If he's to get to a World Cup or be part of I was gonna say qualifiers, but there's not. But all these tournaments coming in, and I do think he could squeeze into one of those. Just because there's just not that many players right now to choose from. He's obviously candidate right now just because how well he's doing. So hopefully we'll see what he can bring to the table. And also with Linus, really quick, I'm glad he came back. He's getting criticized heavy, but he's still very young, and I think he's another player that still has a lot to offer. So
Yeah.
I hope you're right, Hoyley. But it's funny you mentioned like Ness, because in this day and age when players are expected to be, multifunctional and play different, similar positions.
yeah,
I think that if Lainez, Sebastián Cordova, and I think if they get to the level where people expect them to get, I don't think Trophies has a chance at all.
well,
Even though they're similar positions, I mean, they're not the exact same positions, and they obviously have different. But
there's injuries, Ron, there's Moleros.
No, I get it.
Yeah, if they're good, yeah, probably will not
Because
be a starter.
We could say the same thing, about Sebastián Cordova, regarding trophies, about the mentality. Because in terms of, I mean, honestly, Sebastián Cordova, I think in terms of, I think he's a notch below Carlitos Vela in terms of, talent, in terms of skill. Okay, but like Carlitos Vela, people questioned his will, his desire. So I really hope that Lainez, for the sake of the national team, Lainez, Cordova get back to what we all expect them to be, and hopefully, honestly, even trophies, dude. Trust me, I'm not hating on the guy. I really wish back in the day that El Pastor Lozano. I thought he was one of the most gifted players in terms of like he could have been just like Cuauhtemoc Blanco. He had amazing vision, amazing pace, and it's funny to say that for a guy that's has a gut. Oh yeah, that guy's got pace. you know, but he, I mean, it's one of those the type of players that you could change the game, that you can force the other team to change. What they say, pista, the timing. But
Absolutely. I got to see Linus's I guess debut with Tigres. I was like, oh, okay, he got subbed in. He looked lively. Look, he hadn't skipped a beat. So I'm sure once he gets his wings, he'll be shining in no time. He's young. He'll bounce back, and it's a loan, so he might end up back at Betis with some inspiration. We shall see. Folks, I do have some announcements before we wrap up tonight's show. So Primetime Sports, they did let me know that there are some upcoming dates. So Chivas are coming up to the Bay Area in San Jose. They're going to be playing Pachuca on March 22nd. So that's going to be exciting. And for our Americanistas in California, America is going on tour as well. They will be playing in the Dignity Health Sports Park. I think that's in Carson. Thursday, March 23rd at 7. And then in San Diego against Tijuana on that Sunday, the 26th of March. So those are some dates we have for you if you're in California and you want to watch some friendlies. Looks like it will be a good time. I'll definitely be out there for the...
Whoever comes to San Diego, hit me up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit us up on Twitter. I'll be at the game, the Chivas Pachuca game on the 22nd, covering that match. So some exciting tours for that. As far as my closing thought, hey, right now, especially where I live in the Bay Area, a lot of layoffs, a lot of sketchiness, a lot of unpredictable. And it's times like these when you look at a coach like David, or not David, his name's Diego Coca. It's fortunate to have friends in high places. I'll leave it at that. Your network is huge. Leverage it, and you might end up being coach of the national team. And with that, I'll sign off. Thank you guys for hopping on tonight. We appreciate your banter. We appreciate you guys following us. And of course, we'll catch you in the next one.